just has it, and they are on their way.
रॉकेट जो है वो यहाँ पर दागे जा रहे हैं और वो देखिए आप हमारे सिर के ऊपर से पास में जो
We have been reporting from the operational base of Israel Defense Force, and I'll just show you the visuals. Israel forces is in place here. There are Merkava tanks, there are artillery which is in place here, and they've been constantly making the strike towards the Gaza Strip. But as we know, the statement that came in from IDF and ISF that made an announcement that IDF has conducted an aerial strike on an underground terror cell of Hamas and Islamic Jihad terror operatives who were organizing an immediate terror attack.
Israel President reveals Hamas terrorists had literature on making of chemical weapons. Israel Defense Forces revealed 222 people are being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. Left groups stage protests in support of Hamas and national capital call its support to Palestine. Yogi government forms SIT to investigate foreign funding to madrasas in Uttar Pradesh. Amid India-Canada standoff, reports suggest India is exploring options to approach FATF, and that's going to be our focus, and this is exclusive. Legendary left-arm spinner Bishan Singh Bedi passes away at the age of 77. All right, welcome friends in this edition of This is Exclusive, in which I am getting for you an element which is going to be damning for Justin Trudeau. You know, on September 18th, the Canadian Prime Minister accused Indian agencies of murder of Khalistani terrorist Niger, who, by the way, was in regular weekly touch with Canadian intelligence agents, Canadian security agencies. Republic gets you the full story of what made Trudeau level this baseless allegation against India. As per reports, a copy of which I have, come on, read.com. It's an interview of the journalist who approached the Canadian government a week before September 18th, asking them, because they were publishing a story, whether the Canadian establishment had anything on Niger's killing connected with Indian agents. And that's where the bungling started. And the bungling led Justin Trudeau to jump the gun and speak on the floor of the Parliament, the House of Commons of Canada, that there were some credible allegations about Niger's killing being carried out by Indian agents, which now the reporter who did that story says that there was no evidence. Justin Trudeau shot in the dark. He went by an unpublished media report in making the kind of baseless allegations that he made against India, forcing India to really take countermeasures to make sure that India is not treated lightly. It was an unpublished media report, and the journalist who did that belongs to the Canadian newspaper called the Globe and Mail, And his name is Fife. Robert Fife, journalist Robert Fife. He's the Ottawa bureau chief. We'll try to connect with him and try and get him on air for you viewers. But this is damning. Journalist Robert Fife, the Ottawa bureau chief for Canada's The Globe and Mail newspaper, claims that even they did not have any information about whether there was any connection between the killing of Khalistani separatist terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar and Indian agents. They were just asking the government whether they had anything, but the government thought that maybe the newspaper has something, and that's why Justin Trudeau went ahead and spoke on the floor of the House. Can you imagine how preposterous it can get, how stupid it can get with Justin Trudeau there? Okay, I'm told we have guests joining us, and that's what we are going to discuss. Justin Trudeau has clearly misled his own parliament. Now I'm told we have Ambassador Mahesh Sachdeva, former diplomat. He's joining us live from Delhi. And we also have Brahma Chelani, author and professor of strategic studies from the Center for Policy Research and fellow at the Robert Bosch Academy in Berlin. He's also joining us live from Delhi. Very good evening to you, sir. I would want to begin with Mr. Chelani first. Mr. Chelani, while preparing for this evening show, I just charged upon a story which has appeared today in rediff.com. It's an interview given by journalist Robert Fife to the platform, rediff.com, Prasanna D. Zore of rediff.com. And in this interview, now just for your benefit to understand what has exactly happened, it's really damning for Justin Trudeau if it's true. In this interview, Robert Fife says that we were working on the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, and so we approached the government whether they had anything to connect the killing of Nijjar with Indian security establishment or Indian agents. Justin Trudeau's office said, please wait for a week. Robert Fife says, I did not wait for a week. I told them you have 24 hours. And so in panic, Justin Trudeau the next day went to the floor of the House of Commons before the story got published. He said there is a connection, there is credible allegation that Hardeep Nijjar's killing is connected or has links with Indian agents. Now the journalist is really flabbergasted. He's saying, I did not have anything. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the evidence that they have. But I believe that because the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, the US National Security Advisor have all said that there are allegations, maybe there are allegations. When the journalist is specifically asked whether there was something he was given by the government, he says, no, the government never gave us anything. He's asked how thick is the line between making credible allegations and providing hard evidence. He says, well, I don't know. Then, how credible you think are Prime Minister Trudeau's allegations, he is asked. He's saying, well, obviously they have to be serious allegations or he wouldn't have made the statement on the floor of the House, but they have not shown us anything. So, it's clear, Mr. Chelani, sorry for this little long introduction, but I wanted to give you the perspective from where this story is coming. It's clear that it's all thin air. There is nothing available with the Canadian establishment whatsoever based on which Justin Trudeau made those preposterous allegations against India.
You're absolutely right. This story about the Globe and the Mail about to publish stuff on this aspect is well known in Canada. The fact that the Globe pushed Trudeau to air his allegations from the floor of Parliament indicates how ill-prepared Trudeau was to make a serious statement in the House of Commons. Even more damning is the fact that the leader of the opposition in Canada, who's also a member of the Privy Council, and therefore any member of the Privy Council has access to national secrets, and the leader of the opposition has said publicly that Trudeau has not provided any facts even to him in private. And the Premier of British Columbia, where the killing occurred, he said again in public that the intelligence briefing he received on the matter included only information available to the public doing an internet search. In other words, not only has Trudeau not presented an iota of evidence in public, even in private, he has not provided any evidence of any kind to the leader of the opposition and the Premier of British Columbia. And if you just look at Trudeau's own statement on the floor of the House of Commons, it's with caveats. He talks about credible allegations, about a potential link between India's government and the shooting of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Potential link, not an actual link. And then this phrase, credible allegations, is an oxymoron. There's credible evidence, but not credible allegations. An allegation is an allegation. So he qualified his statement in two important aspects when he leveled charges against the Indian government. You don't do that. You don't mar an important relationship with an important country by airing simply allegations, that too about a potential link. In the past, when governments have accused foreign agents of involvement in a murder on their soil, they have presented forensic evidence or video evidence or audio evidence. This is what, for example, the UAE did in 2010 when it charged the Mossad of being behind the murder of a Hamas commander in a Dubai hotel. The UAE presented damning evidence, video evidence, audio evidence, showing the role of 11 Israeli agents in the killing of this Hamas commander. Now, Trudeau has had more than a month since he made those allegations against India, and he has failed so far to present even an iota of evidence.
Ambassador Sachdeva, you know, we are discussing this amid reports that India has finally decided to even go to the FATF or UNODC and to really broaden our response, a diplomatic response to this Canadian harboring of terrorism, Canadian indulgence with the Khalistani extremism. You think, please share with us what's exactly the process that happens when we do this against a country which otherwise was a friendly nation, unlike Pakistan, in which case we have been absolutely clear that Pakistan's support of terror as a state policy has to be clamped down upon at multiple levels. How do we go about this FATF and UNODC business with Canadians?
I think we should be doing it in a much better way than Canadians have invented their spleen without having any particular evidence. If we do so, I think we would be doing it on the basis of credible evidence, as Mr. Chelani has mentioned, and not credible allegation. And there's plenty. You have yourself cited that Canadian intelligence was in regular touch with Mr. Nijjar, the assassinated militant who was declared terrorist by India 3 years ago. So there is a smoking gun there, and there would be other evidences of money being collected. We have all seen the posters on the perimeter of the Gurudwaras asking for assassination of Indian High Commissioner, Indian Consul General, and others publicly. If that is not terrorism, I don't know what terrorism is.
Yeah, absolutely. And Professor Chellani, you know, is this then a case of four blind men trying to decipher an elephant? I mean, the reporter of Globe and Mail says he assumed that the government has something. The government assumed that the reporter has something. The reporter then says maybe the Five Eyes network has something. The Americans say maybe Trudeau, because he has spoken from the floor of the House in Parliament, maybe he has something. And then it becomes an Anglosphere thing. because you have to, defend your body, you are doing it, maybe nobody has any evidence. Seems that's the case. Professor Chelani, I think we lost the connection there. Professor Chelani, are you getting
Is this
me?
question to me or to the ambassador?
Yes, to you. It was to you because you mentioned in your one of your posts about the Anglosphere thing. That's why I was asking that this is becoming a case of, a buddy defending another without knowing whether that defense is there or not. Because the reporter says he assumed that the Trudeau government has some evidence. Trudeau government assumed that maybe the reporter has some evidence. Antony Blinken assumed that maybe there was some evidence based on which Trudeau went to the floor of the House. And poor Australians down under believe, okay, fine, if Antony Blinken has said something, maybe it might be true. Nobody has anything. Nobody knows anything.
You're absolutely right. In fact, you put it very well. The fact is that if there was any evidence of any kind linking the Indian government with the killing, the Trudeau government by now would have released it. The fact it's going round in circles. It is what Trudeau is doing. He's trying to rope in Canada's allies. He's trying to put pressure on India without any evidence of any kind being presented by his government. To make matters worse, everybody in Canada knows that Sikh radicals wield real political influence in that country. Trudeau keeps his minority government afloat with the help of Jagmeet Singh, the New Democratic Party leader, a Sikh, who's also a Khalistan sympathizer. And according to Trudeau's own former foreign policy advisor, action was not taken to chalk off terrorist financing for the Khalistanis because Trudeau did not want to lose the Sikh vote to Jagmeet Singh. So you can imagine how, in a murky political situation of this kind, Trudeau levels allegations against a friendly country like India, bringing the bilateral relationship to the lowest point ever. And I think there is a larger lesson for India. And I think we should not forget this larger lesson, which is that after the Air India bombing of 1985, successive Indian governments let Canada off the hook. The fact is that, according to Canada's own inquiries, that Air India bombing, which killed 329 people, largely of Indian origin, was masterminded by the Babar Khalsa chief, Talvinder Parmar, the very terrorist Indira Gandhi had urged Trudeau's father, the then Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. Indira Gandhi had requested Pierre Trudeau to extradite Parmar to India. So this guy went on. Parmar went on to become the mastermind of the Air India bombing. And for more than 2 decades, Canada did not institute a commission of inquiry into that Air India bombing. And there was no pressure from New Delhi. And ultimately, when the commission of inquiry delivered its report, 25 years after the Air India bombing, all it talked about was sloppy investigation by the Canadian agencies. Now imagine if India had sheltered terrorists who then went on to down an American or a Canadian or a British jetliner. These countries would have shamed India continuously for years and years together. But successive Indian governments never put pressure on Canada to come clean, allowing Canada to delete damning evidence of its culpability in that bombing.
Right. Hopefully, sir, this time we are not letting go of it and we are going to put suitable, adequate, reasonable pressure on the Canadian establishment, not just Justin Trudeau, but the entire Canadian establishment to to make sure that they stop indulging with the Khalistani terrorists and extremists and the kind of actions the government is taking, including the reports that we would be approaching the FATF and UNODC and make sure that Canadian linkages with harboring of these Khalistani elements are exposed. On that note, I'm running out of time. Thank you so much, Professor Chillani and Ambassador Sachdeva, for joining us. It's a big breaking development. We'll try and connect with Robert Five, the bureau chief of the Globe and Mail, who did that story and has in an interview said that he had no evidence, Trudeau has no evidence, nobody has evidence, but then there might be something. Okay, on that note, thank you so much. We'll take a short break. On the other side, left groups stage protests in support of Hamas in national capital, call it support to Palestine. The Yogi government forms SIT to investigate foreign funding to madrasas in Uttar Pradesh.
In the India Today Best Universities 2023 survey, released recently, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School Bengaluru.
We have been reported from the operational base of Israel Defense Force, and I'll just show you the visuals. Israeli forces is in place here. There are Merkava tanks, there are artillery which is in place here, and they've been constantly making the strike towards the Gaza Strip. But as we know, the statement that came in from IDF and ISF that made an announcement that IDF has conducted an aerial strike on an underground terror cell of Hamas and Islamic Jihad terror operatives who were organizing an immediate terror attack.
Egypt side to the other side. That means on the other side, and you will find that some of the aircrafts also, they are moving in the area. That clearly shows that the preparations for the aerial recce. Aerial recce is also being done by the small aircraft. These are the UAV aircraft, the unarmed, the unmanned vehicles that are being used by the Israel side. These are the visuals of the aerial recce that is being done by the Israel side. So these are the exclusive visuals we are showing you from the ground zero in the Rafah, where the aerial recce with the UAVs being done by the Israel side.
have been reported from the operational base of Israel Defense Force, and I'll just show you the visuals. Israel forces is in place here. There are Merkava tanks, there are artillery brigades placed here, and they've been constantly making the strike towards the Gaza Strip. But as we know, the statement that came in from IDF and ISF that made an announcement that IDF has conducted an aerial strike on an underground terror cell of Hamas and Islamic Jihad terror operatives who were organizing an immediate terror attack.
Dozens of people held a protest outside the United Nations office in Geneva to demand the release of 200 hostages held by Hamas after its deadly October 7th raid in Israel. Waving Israeli flags, the protesters held aloft signs that read, "Children aren't bargaining chips." Others held up pieces of placards of "Hamas is equal to ISIS, never again." 3 relatives of Israeli hostages traveled to Geneva for the protest and to meet with UN human rights and International Red Cross officials.
Let's be human. And so that's why we're here in Geneva, because this is where the Geneva Convention was formed. This is where all of the organizations of the world collectively agreed on when we disagree, here are rules that we should abide by in order to treat each other like humans.
The demonstrations came as thousands of pro-Palestinian supporters marched in the city of Lausanne, about an hour's drive to the north, to condemn strikes by Israeli forces in Gaza. Agency report for Republic TV.
Confident about the Israeli forces has it, and they are on their way.
रॉकेट जो है वो यहाँ पर दागे जा रहे हैं और वो देखिए आप हमारे सिर के ऊपर से पास में जो है वो यहाँ पे मिसाइल्स गिरी है।
इजराइल अब ये इंतजार कर रहा है कि जैसे ही सभी लोगों को बाहर लेकर आया जाएगा, आतंकी को खत्म करने को लेकर जो स्ट्रैटेजी इजराइल ने बनाई है उसकी तैयारी भी की जाएगी।
ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ ಹಾಗೂ ಹಮಾಸ್ ನಡುವಿನ ಸಂಘರ್ಷ 12ನೇ ದಿನಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಲಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ದಿಟ್ಟ ವರದಿಯನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದು,
गोलियों की बौछार हमास के आतंकियों द्वारा कर दी गई।
So there is an alert. There is an alert which has been given.
Israel strikes over 300 Hamas targets as it prepares for the potential ground offensive. Left groups stage protests in support of Hamas in the national capital, call it support to Palestine. Yogi government forms SIT to investigate foreign funding to madrasas in Uttar Pradesh. War of words over Akhilesh as future PM posters. Akhilesh downplays, BJP calls it daydreaming. A Canadian journalist's interview reveals Trudeau's charges were based on an unverified and unpublished news report. Legendary left arm spinner Bishan Singh Bedi passes away at the age of 77. Now, Israel's President Isaac Herzog has claimed instructions on how to build chemical weapons were discovered by Israeli forces on the body of a dead Hamas terrorist. In an interview, Herzog showed what he said was information discovered by Israeli troops and claimed the plans were found on a USB drive discovered on the dead terrorist. Take a listen in to the reaction that have come on in, including what the President of Israel had to say.
It's Al-Qaeda material, official Al-Qaeda material. We're dealing with ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Hamas. This is what we're dealing with. And in this material, there were instructions how to produce chemical weapons. It speaks about arson, and it speaks about various chemicals that come out and produce chemical weapons.
All right, my colleague Amit Singh joins us live from Sderot in Israel as he continues to get us the latest from Gaza border. Amit, हम लोग जो जानकारी मिल रही है जिस तरह से इजराइल के जो प्रेसिडेंट हैं आइजैक हर्ज़ोग ने ये कहा है, दावा किया, बहुत बड़ा दावा है अपने आप में कि केमिकल वेपन्स जो हैं उनका इस्तेमाल करने का पूरा प्लान रहा है हमास टेररिस्ट का। एक डिज़ाइन मिला है जिसको अल-कायदा केमिकल वेपन कहा जा रहा है, अल-कायदा डिज़ाइन कहा जा रहा है। इसके बारे में थोड़ा विस्तार से हमें बताइए, कितना बड़ा खतरा है ये?
देखिए रक्षिता, ये बहुत बड़ा खतरा है क्योंकि हमास के जिन आतंकियों को इजरायली फोर्सेस ने ऑपरेशन में मारा है उनके पास से बहुत सारे फॉर्मूला मिले हैं, बहुत सारे नोट्स मिले हैं जिनमें इन वेपन्स का जिक्र था कि केमिकल वेपन का इस्तेमाल हमास के आतंकी कर सकते हैं। ईरान इनको बैकअप कर रहा है और ईरान के जरिए ये तमाम जो वेपन्स हैं, ये जो फॉर्मूला है केमिकल वेपन का, वो पहुंचाने की बात सामने आई, जिसकी वजह से अब जो आईडीएफ फोर्सेज हैं बहुत जल्द गाजा का जो वो इलाका जहां पर हमास के आतंकी छिपे हुए हैं, जो उनके लॉन्चिंग पैड्स हैं, इसके अलावा जो टनल्स हैं, वहां पर ऑपरेशन तेज होने वाला। मैं गाजा नॉर्दर्न गाजा के इलाके में गया था रक्षिता, मैं आपको बताऊं वहां हजारों की तादाद में टैंक्स तैनात किए गए हैं, बीएमपी तैनात की गई, 3 लाख रिजर्व फोर्सेज हैं जिनको सिर्फ इसी काम पर लगाया गया है कि वो गाजा के अंदर दाखिल हो, वहां पर जो बंकर्स हैं, जो टनल्स हैं, जहां पर आतंकी छुपे हैं, उनका सफाई हो। और अभी आपसे बात करने से ठीक 4 मिनट पहले आयरन डोम यहां पर एक्टिव था ज़ेरौत में, और 3 धमाके हमने सुने हैं जो यहां पर हवा में रॉकेट को इंटरसेप्ट करके गिराया है। तो बहुत सेंसिटिव इलाका है और अभी जो हमारे सोर्सेज बता रहे हैं आईडीएफ फोर्सेज के, बहुत जल्द हो सकता है आज देर रात गाजा के नॉर्दर्न इलाके में और ईस्टर्न इलाका जो गाजा का, वहां पर जो कॉम्बैट एरिया है वो और बड़ा होने वाला है, बिल्डअप एरिया का वॉर एस्केलेट हो सकता है क्योंकि अब हमास को खत्म करने के लिए सिर्फ एयर स्ट्राइक से काम नहीं चलने वाला रक्षिता, वहां अंदर घुसकर मारना पड़ेगा। इसके अलावा आपको बताऊं गोलन हेड्स का इलाका जो नॉर्दर्न इलाका है इजराइल का, वहां पर भी ग्राउंड फोर्सेज लगातार बढ़ाई जा रही हैं। वेस्टर्न बैंक का जो इलाका है, वेस्ट बैंक का, वहां पर भी एयर स्ट्राइक लगातार हो रही थी और वहां भी अब आर्मी बिल्डअप एरिया में जाएगी, मैन टू मैन कॉम्बैट होगा। और हम सब जानते हैं कि हमास के जो आतंकी हैं गोरिल्ला वॉरफेयर में बहुत महारत हासिल कर चुके हैं और यही सबसे बड़ी मुश्किल है। कल जब आर्मी थोड़ा सा आगे हुई थी तो वहां पर एक जो सैनिक था आईडीएफ फोर्सेस का, उसकी मौत हुई है गोली लगने की वजह से। अभी भी लगातार जो गाजा स्ट्रिप का इलाका है, अश्कलॉन की बात कर लें, ज़ेरौत की बात कर लें या किबुत्ज बेरी जो इलाका है, वहां पर अब जो आर्मी है वो फॉरवर्ड मार्च कर रही है। धीरे धीरे वहां पर पूरे इलाके को कॉर्डन ऑफ किया जा रहा है और बहुत जल्द मुझे लगता है जो केमिकल वेपन वाला मामला है इसे लेकर इजरायली फोर्सेस बहुत सतर्क है क्योंकि इस तरह के वेपन्स आवाज नहीं करते और इनकी मार हजारों किलोमीटर दूरी तक होती है। यानी अगर ये वेपन यहां पर डाले जाते हैं, उनका अटैक होता है तो बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगी इजरायलियंस के लिए, क्योंकि आयरन डोम सिर्फ रॉकेट्स को और मिसाइलों को ट्रैक कर सकता है, इंटरसेप्ट कर सकता है, केमिकल वेपन्स को नहीं। इसलिए रक्षिता ये बहुत बड़ी मुश्किल है, और अगर केमिकल वेपन फायर होता है तो सिविलियन भी बड़ी तादाद में मारे जाएंगे, चाहे वो फिलिस्तीन के हों, चाहे वो इजराइल के, और आर्मी को भी पता नहीं चलेगा कि वो वेपन कब फायर किएगा। और ऐसा होता है तो इजराइल फोर्सेस को बहुत बड़ा नुकसान होगा। ज़रोत का इलाका हम आपको बता दें, ये मिलिट्री कैंप यहां पर है। उसके बाद सुबह से दर्जन भर से ज्यादा रॉकेट्स दागे गए हैं। कल बीती रात लगातार आयरन डोम एक्टिव रहा, यहां पर रॉकेट्स को मार के गिरा रहे थे, और जब हम नॉर्दर्न गाजा पहुंचे रक्षिता तो वहां पे 40 रॉकेट्स दागे गए थे। हमें बंकर में भागना पड़ा आर्मी के लोगों के साथ अपनी जान बचाने के लिए। बहुत सेंसिटिव इलाका है, और लगातार जो तोप की इंस्टॉलेशन है, जो बीएमपीज की इंस्टॉलेशन है, वो लगातार गाजा, जो नॉर्दर्न गाजा का इलाका है, उधर बढ़ रहे हैं। और बहुत जल्द मुझे लगता है कि जो बिल्डअप एरिया का वॉर है वो एस्केलेट हो सकता है, और आर्मी आगे मार्च कर सकती है गाजा के उन इलाकों में जहां पर मस्जिद है, जहां पर स्कूल्स हैं, जहां पर बड़े अस्पताल हैं, क्योंकि पूरा शक है कि जो हमास के आतंकवादी हैं वहीं से ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं। एक तरह से 3 फ्रंट वॉर का मसला हो गया है। हूती जो आतंकी हैं, जॉर्डन के रास्ते से जो हिजबुल्लाह के आतंकी आ रहे हैं और हमास के आतंकी हैं, साथ ही साथ ईरान भी धमकी दे रहा है कि वो भी अब इजराइल के ऊपर रॉकेट दाग सकता है, लड़ाई कर सकता है, एयर स्ट्राइक कर सकता है। रक्षिता
जी बिल्कुल, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए अमित। बेहद संगीन मोड़ पर है ये वॉर, और हम देख रहे हैं किस तरह से केमिकल वेपन्स का जो खतरा है वो बढ़ता जा रहा है। बट थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस हियर एट रिपब्लिक टीवी। वी विल कीप कम बैक टू यू फॉर मोर, एंड व्यूअर्स, दैट इज द लेटेस्ट अपडेट वी हैव फ्रॉम नियर द गाजा बॉर्डर. IDF has also talked about the IDF spokesperson has talked about